Don't know me.
Closer, louder.
For those of you that don't know me, my name's Charlie Gruber,
Swears.
or Schweers, or as Michael would refer to me as Chaz Gruber, and depending on the time, dude. I'm here to share some certainly and not final words about our beloved Michael, also known as Kapper with a hard R. Kappa Man, Cap Daddy, F Kappa. So I met Mike during high school, fittingly through Jason Amadick and Debbie. More on that later. I was honored to be in his wedding party and godfather to the lovely and beautiful Emma. Michael returned the favor to be in my wedding party and godfather to my son, Billy. We were roommates, concert buddies, lovers of mischief, and the subtleness of British humor. Me standing here today to represent him is a true honor. I want to thank the ladies who planned this today, and I'm also going to work with some creative license, so thank you for not letting this be in a church or somewhere where I might get struck down. Rules for today, as Michael would want it, there are no rules. You can cry, you can laugh, you can look at your phone, whatever, but I still think you have to smoke in a designated area. So the final frickin' challenge he throws me is how to digest a life like Michael in a few minutes. In actuality, he is a writer's dream. He's funny. He's artistic. He's a trailblazer. He was the first to marry, first to parent, first to move away. He was unorthodox. There's so many funny and weird events that happened and passed his way. And maybe that's the way it is for all of us. But Mike had a way to capture them and generous enough to share with a delivery that no one can rival. So where to start? Well, he was born in Detroit, March 1969. Perhaps that's where his passion for automobiles was hardwired into his soul. And motorcycles. He spent a little time in Milwaukee, too. Now, by the blessing of God, he was adopted and loved by Don, Nancy, and Chris. What a beautiful setup. Don and Nancy got a son. Chrissy got a brother. She got a playmate. And that playmate, by all accounts, would not stop talking. Earning him his very first nickname, Flap. Mike filled the role of little brother well. He was a ski buddy, a sailing mate, and shared the attention and admiration of Don, Nancy, and several Doberman pinchers. To Chrissy's luck, he also seemed to get caught much more frequently. Now, in much of our time together, I asked him about being adopted, and he said, I don't care who my real parents are, Don and Nancy are my parents. And it was just beautiful how he was brought into such a selfless environment, and he was raised by such marvelous people. Now, the Katz family moved to Minnesota and took up residence on River Road, beginning many lifelong friendships, starting with Norby Winter. Now, Norb, I have heard some of the hijinks, and I can only imagine Kapper getting rad on his BMX bike, and think of Kapper delivering a crank call back in the day. That had to be a work of art. Now, despite overlooking a much closer and wildly superior all-boys private Catholic military school, the Caps decided to send him to St. Thomas Academy. This gift provided Mike the gift of many amazing friendships, which are all represented here. It's funny how pages don't move when your hands are shaking and you're holding back tears. Mike met a lot of guys that would be part of and shape his life. Most central, Jason Amity. Now, the Capps family shared so many special times on the slopes, over a meal, and on the good ship Donnan. Now, one of the favorite family vacation spots was Hilton Head Island. Now, at some point in the early 2000s, Mike thought it would be clever to call me and check in with me. Now, keep in mind, the Capps would always vacation there late February into March when it was just absolutely shitty here. And I'd get a call from him, and like, I'm at work. I'd let it go to voicemail. And what a glorious voicemail it was. So, for those that know Mike, he had many voices and many, many, many more laughs. But I get this Mike on his FM channel jazz DJ voice. Hey Chaz, just checking in with you from Hilton Head Island. It's 74 degrees. The breeze is blowing off the shore. Just wrapped up a great breakfast where they made these cheese blintzes and they wrapped the sausage and arugula, and it was awesome. Well, hey man, gotta go. Dad, Steve, and I are going out on a fishing charter. Keep you updated on the haul. Hope you're having fun. It's like Kapper, laughs. Now, as we all know about Mike, once something seemed to work, he kept doing it. Think of him playing guitar. Think of him working on cars. So I finally called him out on such antics. I'm like, Kapper, what's up with these messages coming to me? And he's like, well, Chaz, he's like, I was having fun. I wanted to let you know. And I wish you were here because we would have a blast. So, of all the glowing attributes and stories that will be shared amongst us here today, let's not forget there was a wee bit of jackass in life.
That's what we love.
Indeed. So, beyond the occasional jackass, or pain in the ass for those that lived with him, there are many words to describe him. Here are the top 4 that have come to my mind in the last couple weeks. Cars, guitars, food, and laughter. So cars, we'll start there. For most of us, cars get us from point A to point B with some mixture of practicality and style. For Mike, it was style, performance, and full-on experience. Anytime he turned a key in the ignition, it was a joyride for Michael. The music, the air blowing, the freedom, the randomness of the world that he drove past. Man and machine working together. This passion for autos was clearly cultivated from his mother, who he regards as the best driver ever. Shout out Nancy Capps. Now, Nancy, seeing how, we can tell the truth now. Michael added many more miles to your cars than you know. And word on the street, he was the inspiration behind Ferris Bueller. My personal favorite was a red Jaguar. Thank you.
You did it to more than just her car.
Well played. I mean, the dude drove a fire truck. That is a childhood dream for every man here. Side note, he was part of a legendary carpool to St. Thomas Academy. I can't disclose anymore.
It would be illegal.
Rides with him were so entertaining. Depending on the mood or the situation, you could be with NASCAR Mike, weaving, accelerating, hitting turns, decent G-force is pressing against your body and always commenting on the road. Or you could be on a road trip. Mike would have the Detroit lean, but he always had one hand ready to hit that volume button. Oh, this song rips. And there, strangely, with both hands on the steering wheel and a cigarette hanging out of his mouth, he could play air guitar to pitch perfect tune. Some masters work in oil. Some masters carve marble. Mike worked behind the wheel. Now, while driving, no person was safe from his observation. But Emma recommended that he could make millions just recording himself, commenting on the other idiot drivers that he encountered. Now, speaking of Emma, when she joined us on the earth, Kapper got the perfect family car, a Mustang. And I recall saying to him, dude, you have a kid. He's like, yeah, she's small and she fits well in the back, she'll be safe, but I got the Bose stereo, man. So now if Nancy was widely regarded as the best driver, Emma, you're the best co-pilot. I'm confident there was so much father-daughter bonding behind that windshield on the many miles that fathers and kids spend driving. Now, maybe not coincidentally, most of Mike's employment was in some aspect of the auto industry. Enterprise Rent-A-Car, thank you, Charlie Gruber. He had his own shop in Iowa. He worked at Boulevard Leasing with Nancy, and most recently at Bonfils. You can take the kid out of Detroit, but not Detroit out of the kid. It's always said that when your job is your passion, it's not work. Mike checked that box with a huge X. Guitars. True to his Detroit roots, Michael loved soul and blues. When I first met Mike, his goal was to hit the road with Up With People, a traveling motivational collection using religion and money. Now, while Noble had scratched his rock and roll itch, he chose to go to Creighton first. Now, in living with Mike, and Nancy can attest to this, and Debbie and Victoria and the kids, whenever he got home from work didn't end until he was 30 minutes into just grinding out his guitar. He was playing with his heroes, Clapton, Richards, Garcia, Beck, and of course, Stevie Ray. He was a really good guitar player, and a passion he shares with Michael Lewis. Now, some dads revel in telling stories about their kids' Little League heroics and living their own faded hopes through those games. Mike proudly shared what an accomplished guitar player Mikey is. The accolades, the gigs, the conferences, the jams. Few men can watch their sons outperform them in a craft they pursued. Mike had that pleasure. Going to a concert with Mike was such a treat. He was like a little kid going to the circus, eyes wide open, absorbing everything, strutting through the crowd like he was getting ready to hop on stage with them, watching his heroes. Food. Few men have had the culinary windfall that Mike had. Nancy, Victoria, and Emma were amazing lineup for chefs, as they know the recipes and preparation and timing. Mike understood that it was really love that was being shared. Love with a great red wine reduction and sauteed greens. The food was just an aspect of breaking bread together. The time to unite, laugh, share, and connect. Again, there are no rules with food. He would enjoy a Big Mac almost as much as the bone-in filet at Manny's, so long as others were there to share. My food highlight was Mike when we did a double date to Charlie Trotter's in Chicago. Charlie's is a Michelin star rated restaurant, difficult to get into and categorized as fancy. It's a food museum. It was very quiet and very intimidating. There was an odd tension in the room because everyone there really wanted to be there, but no one knew how to act or what to expect. Fortunately for my wife Janelle and I, Mike and Victoria were there to act as our interpreters who could understand the foodie talk that the waitstaff shared with us. So Michael, in his famous loud whisper, as we sat down at our table, "I didn't expect it to be this stuffy." "Don't screw up, Gruber," followed by the nose laugh. Into the first glass of wine, the stories amongst us started to flow. The volume raised. Our table was laughing, and he was quipping with the waitstaff like the confidence of a senator. Others in the dining room, they noted our enjoyment, and the mood, you could feel it shift from tension and uncertainty to pure enjoyment of food, wine, and each other. Laugh. The guy could tell jokes. Jesus. I recall a time at our friend Tom Bonsi's cabin, he sat on a picnic table and told jokes for over 30 minutes straight, many of which cannot be shared at this point in time, but he had an ability that I've never seen in another human being to categorize and recall a joke. If you told a Polish joke, he had 3 waiting. If you told a religious joke, he had 5, etc., etc. The best part of his jokes, though, were his laughing at the end. He was his best audience. One of my favorite moments together, I walked into our shared ouch house, and as I came back from class, he greets me with a, "Dude, I am so glad you're here. You have got to watch this. I have been watching this for the last 20 minutes. And there, for the first time in my life, I saw the Monty Python skit, The Fish Slapping Dance. A clip I sent to Emma after we heard of Mike's news. We watched that, and once I stopped laughing, we watched it again for another 20 minutes. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. That's Micah. Silly, fun-loving, but sharing. This is a point where he would like bust out into his belly laugh. That laugh, infectious, doesn't begin to describe it. And true tears of joy would follow. I think we've all had our share of those over the past few weeks. To that point, being a jokester made some deliveries for Mike more difficult, whether a joke or not. What? You're getting married? What? You're going to be a dad? Wait, you're moving where? Hold it. You're moving where? And the opus. You're dating who? To that point, it would be remiss not to mention the impact that Debbie had on his life. Again, highly unconventional, but highly effective for Michael. He was so happy and in love with you. More importantly, he found peace and contentment in his time with you. Debbie with the camera, capturing the moments of life for all of us, captured his heart. I miss Mike. I miss his voice, his laugh. I hope to receive a voicemail in that silky smooth broadcaster voice. Hey Chaz, Kapper here. Just checking in with you. It's beautiful here. Just got done shooting plays with Dad and Steve. You would not believe the whiskey they have here. And McDonald shared some crazy varietals of wine with me. Oh, and I connected with Stevie Ray. He showed me how to shift different chords, moving my finger in a way I never knew could bend. Hey man, gotta run. Don't know when Timmy Belial got a line on where Jerry and Bobby are playing later on. Guitars. Food. Laughter. Laughter. Food. Guitars. Thanks for the ride, Mike. Thanks for the music, Kapper. Thanks for nourishing us. Thanks for the laughs. Thank you all for being here.